The 2022 season is almost over after the cut-short F1 Japanese GP. Max Verstappen was crowned world champion at Suzuka. However, the way the FIA went about it could be a breaking point in already escalating hostilities between the FIA and the teams and drivers. The FIA unexpectedly unveiled the 2023 schedule quite recently, shocking not only the teams and Liberty Media, but probably the fans as well. A record 24 races were included in the calendar, albeit the penultimate triple header was rejected by the F1 teams. The FIA and the F1 teams have had disagreements. The Abu Dhabi Grand Prix decision stands out as being the most memorable. However, this may be the first occasion that the FIA has also enraged Liberty Media. A record 24 races are scheduled for the 2023 calendar, beginning in Bahrain in March and concluding in Abu Dhabi in November. But prior to the publication of the calendar, the teams did not agree to the final triple header between the USA, Mexico and Brazil. Due to how exhausting triple headers can be, this was already offensive to the F1 teams. In addition, the FIA failed to alter Liberty Media to the release. The season calendar is typically included in a joint news release from Liberty Media and the FIA. According to the Italian version of the motorsports website, the FIA on this occasion did not inform Liberty Media of the release of the calendar, and in the London headquarters, the workers under Stefano Domenicali's leadership learned about it without any notice. The calendar's creation has also been strongly influenced by Liberty Media. They are in charge of negotiating with all of the Grand Prix promoters. The animosity between the owners and the governing body is growing as a result of the events of the 2022 season due to the FIA's slow response to the disclosure of the 2021 season's budget cap problems. The rule is losing credibility due to the delayed response and action, which is also interfering with the present season. It's insane to believe that the budget cap for 2021 will be decided in October 2022. Two teams, possibly Red Bull and Aston Martin, were said to have gone over the budget for 2021, according to a story that surfaced in the 2022 Singapore Grand Prix. In a statement, the FIA said that the processing of financial reports is a long and difficult procedure that is ongoing, and stated that it was not able to provide cost cap certifications to the teams that complied with the rules on Wednesday. Instead, the FIA intends to complete its reports so that the certifications can be released on Monday. A number of top drivers have demanded penalties for any team discovered to have violated the cost limit. Later on, it was revealed that the teams were guilty of a minor breach. Two teams were reportedly in violation of the budget cap last month, and on Monday, the FIA released the findings of its investigations of the teams' files for 2021. Aston Martin was deemed to have a procedural breach according to the FIA, while Red Bull had both a procedural and a minor overspending breach. A small overspend breach is defined as exceeding the $145 million cap by up to 5%. Sanctions were not announced by the FIA, which is also deciding on the best course of action. The conclusion of the Italian Grand Prix was another incident that sparked controversy. Following the events of the 2021 Abu Dhabi GP, the race director for the 2022 Italian GP disagreed with the choice and forced a safe car finish. The controversial choice of Abu Dhabi has come up once more in connection with the race at Monza. Max Verstappen, who dominated but crossed the finish line after the safety car, won the race at Monza.
It's a fifth consecutive win for Max Verstappen. Behind the safety car, he wins the Italian Grand Prix. He will stand on the podium at Monza for the first time in his Formula One career.
There weren't enough laps left to remove it, finish lining up the cars, and then allow the safety car to finish its 2 required laps as required by rules before the race could continue. As long as it adhered to its own rules, the FIA was not at fault. This in and of itself was a sore point for many following the contentious conclusion of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix last year, which cost Lewis Hamilton a chance at his 8th championship. At the time, FIA race director Michael Masi improvised on the rules to ensure that a final lap of racing occurred following a tardy safety car. Christian Horner, the head of Verstappen's Red Bull team, insisted that the FIA solve the issue immediately and that the sport should avoid having races end with a safety car. Mattia Binotto, the team principal for Ferrari, also criticized the FIA's choice, while Toto Wolff, the team principal for Lewis Hamilton at Mercedes, pointed out that this time the FIA had at least adhered to its own rules. I'm really happy to see that there are a race director and colleagues that uphold the rules in the face of pressure from the press, the fans and everyone else to simply break the rules, the man remarked.
I think from what I remember, that's what we don't want, pushing someone out or letting somebody die on the outside. But I need to have a proper look.
Abu Dhabi, at least in that regard, provided the FIA with greater confidence to enforce the rules. As long as the procedure followed was properly outlined in the rules, he also concurred that F1 needed to find a more suitable manner to guarantee that races ended in racing conditions. The FIA committed error after error during the Japanese Grand Prix, and in the coming weeks, further criticism is to be expected. The largest scandal occurred early in the race. Carlos Sainz veered off the circuit, prompting race control to call for a safety car, and then, not long after, even the red flag. A sensible choice, but in the hysteria, everything went terribly wrong.
Yeah, I crashed.
Drivers continued to pass behind the safety car through the rain, while a tractor to remove Sainz sat on the racecourse. Pierre Gasly was passing the pack at full speed for the circumstances because he was gaining up to them and hadn't yet had a chance to slow down for the red flag. Gasly was enraged over the team radio, and after getting out of his car at the red flag,
God, what is this tractor? What is this tractor on track? I'll pass next to it, like, this is unacceptable.
it made him think of his friend Jules Bianchi, who had passed away a year prior from injuries sustained in a collision with a crane at the same track in 2014. Many other drivers backed Gasly in this. During the red flag, people like Lando Norris and Sergio Perez voiced their displeasure on social media. In fact, Daniel Ricciardo and Sebastian Vettel had also found the car in addition to Gasly. This was a perilous situation because of the rain. The FIA held Gasly to account and imposed a harsh punishment rather than reaching out to him. In fact, the FIA appeared to place more emphasis on Gasly in a statement due to his excessive speed. Even if Gasly had not been speeding, the FIA was still breaking their own rules, despite the fact that Gasly himself disputed this after the race.
We lost Jules already. We all lost an amazing guy, amazing driver, for the reasons that we know. 8 years ago on the same track in the same conditions with a crane. How today we can see a crane not even in the gravel on the racetrack while we are still on the track? Obviously I got scared. Obviously if I would have lost the car in the similar way as Carlos lost it the lap before, doesn't matter the speed, 200, 100 would have just died.
This is so that the crane can't enter the track until every vehicle is in the pit lane or following the safety car in a single long line. The drivers were still too dispersed on the course, so this was not the case. Then there came the scoring of points. F1 and the FIA set up a good schedule so that it was clear to everyone at what percentage of the race how many points would be handed out, in light of the fact that the 2021 Belgian Grand Prix ended in a debacle after points were awarded for a race that was never run. So it seemed odd that a calculation with all the points was visible during the race. When the punishment for Leclerc was known, it suddenly appeared on the screen that Verstappen was the world champion, which led you to believe that the statistics had not yet been updated. Nobody was aware. Verstappen would receive 19 points, Perez 14 and Leclerc 12, according to the regulations in place since Belgium, leaving Verstappen 1 point short of winning the world championship. There seems to be a catch though. It's quite evident from the FIA's announcement that this point allocation only takes effect if a race is abandoned. In Japan, it wasn't the case. Full points could just be awarded because the race was resumed and completed under race circumstances despite not being totally finished. The fact that this was once more so ambiguous for everyone speaks much about the FIA's communication and the rulebook. These are quite hazy and ambiguous. Although just recently improving after Liberty Media's $4.4 billion acquisition of F1's ownership, the relationship between the sport and its governing body appears to be shifting. The Japanese Grand Prix once again exposed numerous flaws in the FIA's procedures. It is passive when it rains, it can't stop major risks like a tractor on the track, and many of the rules are difficult for everyone to understand. It occasionally makes the sport unduly difficult, and if you want the new public to take you seriously, this will need to change in the future. The cumulative effect of all of these instances is to provide the viewers with a subpar viewing experience. The FIA's decision about the future of the sport has also come under fire, and not just on the racing front. With that, we've come to an end. See you next time. Goodbye.